everybody. My name is Rajiv Dhanjal, and I am a volunteer for the Secret Angels. I'm going to use the word charity. We're not really a charity, we're a CIC, which is a community interest company. You're listening to Iman One, a radio station that has been in existence for several years now, but you may well know it as Ramadan Radio Wolves. Okay, Ramadan Radio Wolves was our previous name, and on YouTube and on Facebook you'll see many of the shows that were recorded before, and again this show is being streamed out live both to YouTube and to Facebook, and now from this year forwards we are now also on DAB, so that's digital audio broadcasting across Wolverhampton, Walsall and beyond. In this show I'm going to be taking calls if anybody wants to call me. I'll be looking at your WhatsApp messages. I may not answer them instantly, but our WhatsApp number is 07440 420 432. Okay, and if you do want to phone in, you can call 01 902 972 150. Okay, so that's an introduction to me. That's an introduction to the shows that I did last year, and this year you can tune in for my show at 4 o'clock on a Monday. It's about Secret Angels and the work that the Secret Angels charity does, and you can also tune in to me on Thursday at 4 o'clock, but that's only a half-hour show, so there I'll be talking about the work I do supporting the digital information that people might want to learn about. Okay, so 2 shows today, a 1 hour show with a few minutes break, about 6 minutes break, around about 4:24 for about 6 minutes, where you'll see some adverts, and then I'll carry on and talk about IT skills. Okay, so that's what you have to look forward to today. So yeah, let me tell you about the Secret Angels. The Secret Angels is a charity that's been running for several years. It's based in Wolverhampton, and over the years we are doing more and more things for the community. So the first thing I want to talk about is our food bank. On a Tuesday, as in tomorrow morning, at 10:30, running up to 12:30, we have a food bank located just off the Cannock Road at the Park Village Education Centre. It's on the corner, it's opposite the number 2 bus stop, and should you or your friends or family need support with food items, then you can certainly come along. Usually a queue there, join the queue, and you can ask for what you're in need of, which I'll be telling you about shortly, about what we present. Okay, so I've told you the location, I've told you the time, Tuesday morning 10:30 till 12:30. Location is the Park Village Education Centre. There's a metal gate around it. The gate will be open, the main gate will be open, not the first door but the second door. You'll see the people there. So happy to join the queue. What you must do is you must bring some form of ID. We really do need to be supporting local people, Wolverhampton people. So if you've got some ID with you, please bring it along, unless it's an absolute emergency, because we won't turn anybody back if it's an emergency. But to be fair to everybody, please bring some ID. We will give you like a customer number, service user number, and you can use that number up to 12 times in a year. So maybe you have an issue only during the winter period. Maybe you have a problem occasionally from time to time, in which case you may only want to use the what we call tokens or vouchers, maybe once a month, maybe every few weeks, maybe just from time to time. So the choice is really yours, and as long as we've got food to give you, then you're welcome to come along. As I say, we have to be fair, and in some instances, when we've got too much that's going to go bad, then you might be able to get a bit more. Okay, so I've mentioned the procedure, which is come along with some form of ID, join the queue, and we can try and help you as much as we can. Where do we get the food from? Well, we get donations from various retail stores, sometimes regularly, sometimes on occasion. So let me first tell you about several several co-op stores who, on a Monday night, they start to throw out all the perishable food, and rather than waste it, we go along there and we collect it. So that food, those food items are probably going to spend their last day on the shelves Tuesday morning. And as I say, sometimes we get an awful lot and sometimes we get very little. You might get a lot of bread, which does go bad quickly, so it'll still be edible the next day, Tuesday morning. We also get quite often many sandwiches, pre-made sandwiches, wrapped, kept cool, and so those are suitable. We get, as I say, all sorts of things. We get bananas and we get various fruit items. We get all manner of things. We don't always know what we're going to get, but there are several stores, and there are more now, including some Aldi's and the Asda as well. And sometimes they just give us money, and then we go and buy what's needed. And sometimes they give us baby items, so baby food, nappies. On occasion, we've been given flowers because the flowers were going to expire on the next day, and that's a nice little surprise to give to somebody if if they need flowers. So there's quite a few things that become available to us, and as I say, sometimes we do get frozen food, so you can take them away. You might be able to keep them for longer than just a few days. We also, as I say, because we get money from some of the stores, we have tins of beans, tins of peas, lots and lots of different sorts of tins. Sometimes we get coffee, which we put it into smaller bags so that everybody can share it. As I say, we get all manner of things suitable for vegetarians as well. We get given cereals, and those have a good long shelf life. So hopefully there's something for everybody. And as I say, if you know anybody, or if you are in need of food yourself, then please come along on a Tuesday morning, and you can use our service. As a quick aside, from time to time, certain specialist butchers, they give us something like 20 kilograms of meat, and frozen meat. And what we do at the Secret Angels is we'll divide it up into smaller portions and hand that out to people who need it. Another thing we do, and this will be coming up quite soon, is we collect Easter eggs. So we collect Easter eggs for some of the children that may never get an Easter egg. Last year we had a target of collecting 300 Easter eggs, but we were overwhelmed already at 450 donations from individuals, donations from stores, and that carried on. I think we got more than 700 Easter eggs, were donated to us. So a lot of children were made happy by that. And as I say, those are specialist items, maybe only available part of the year, but also sometimes we get specialist Christmas items. And again, sometimes these have a good storage life. Sometimes we get them months before, and so those make special presents as well. It goes without saying we've probably got lots of pasta, and we've got lots and lots of things that would be useful to most people. Okay, so that's one of the things that the Secret Angels has been providing to the local community for quite a while, and this has become known by the wider community, and as a result of the work that the many volunteers of the Secret Angels perform, we have been recognised by the King's Award for the voluntary sector. CAVS we call it, the King's Award for the voluntary sector. It's an award we've been given, and some of you may remember not long ago, only a few months or two ago, on the front page of the Express and Star, holding up a British flag, was our founder, Alvina Raleigh, and our company secretary, Nikki Kent. So we have been recognised, and indeed, as I say, not all that many volunteer organisations will get such an award, but we've been recognised, and as I say, thanks to all the work that people have been putting in over the last few years, we've won this award, and we hope to carry on serving the community. Okay, the next thing that I'd like to talk about that we provide is a befriending service, and our befriending service runs on a Friday afternoon between the hours of 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So this service has been going on for a few years now, and the location of the service is at the Bob Jones Community Hub, also known on the left hand side is known as the Blaken Hall Library. It contains a gym and a hall where you can play badminton, and meeting rooms. And we have a meeting room on a Friday between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, and that is in room 2. So if you come along to the Bob Jones Community Hub, go up to the receptionists and say, can you tell me where room 2 is for the befriending service provided by the Secret Angels, and they'll direct you to the right hand side of the building, where the door will be open, and there should be at least 1 or 2 members of the Secret Angels chatting with people, the people who've come to use the service. It's a nice, safe place. Kind of started up when it was cold, and some people couldn't really afford to pay for heating, so they could for a couple of hours come in and warm themselves up in a public building. They would be able to have free tea, coffee, soft drinks, some nice biscuits, and every now and again, and the lady who runs it, who is an expert cake baker, as well as making street foods, Asian street foods, she may well come in with some items for our visitors. Okay, it was very, very popular with the ladies. We had a good mixture year and a half ago. Now there's a couple of gentlemen who, to some extent, need it as well. They need to get out of the house, and they've got nobody to talk to. But of course, if you come on a Friday between 2 to 4, then you can talk to anybody else in the room. You can keep your thoughts to yourself, or you can share your thoughts. There's no pressure on anybody. But as I say, as the weather gets better, I think you will find more and more people coming in. It's been quite a cold winter, and so not everybody's come out to leave the house. But we're going to get, I think we had 3 people as well as 3 Secret Angels, but I do expect more people to come along and join us and make it a community event again, like it used to be, and certainly has been. Right, one more thing I'm going to talk about now, and that is the IT Skills for Everyone program that I run. So if you were a little bit worried about IT, don't know how to use it, want some free support, if you can get to one of our local libraries, and let me say, on a Tuesday morning, Wensfield Library on a Tuesday morning. That's why you probably won't see me at the food bank on a Tuesday morning. So on a Tuesday morning, 10:30 till 12:30, although sometimes I stay a bit later depending on the demand, you'll see me there in the corner. I'll have my banner up advertising the Secret Angels, and I'll be sitting there either by myself if nobody's come, but it does get popular, so sometimes there's a queue of people waiting. Maybe you don't live on the east part of Wolverhampton, maybe you live on the west part of Wolverhampton. If that's the case, on a Tuesday afternoon, you can come along to the Warstones Library. Now, the Warstones Library, 2:30 to 4:30. Again, 2 hours for people who want help and support with IT. In some cases, I've started teaching people from scratch. This is a screen, this is a keyboard, this is the mouse. There are so many ways of doing things these days, and people get confused. So I demonstrate it. I say, this is how you do. Use the equipment. This is how you can make things bigger or smaller. This is how you can make searching the internet or ordering medicines or anything else that you want to do. Printing is quite popular. People don't print as much paper as they used to. But there are people who have got lots of letters from before, and they might have bank statements, and they want to know, well, how do I print this off? There's no point in me buying a £100 printer. But of course, all the libraries, they've got printers. If you live in the south part of Wolverhampton, you can go again to the Bob Jones Community Hub, but this time on the left-hand side, which is where the Blakenhall Library is, and you'll see me sitting there on the computers. And again, in the same fashion, if you need help with IT, I can help you. You might need help with your mobile phone. You might need help with a tablet, or you might just want to use the computers that are available at the library. Or maybe you live in the northern part of Wolverhampton. If that's the case, come to the Whitmoreens Library, and there, like all the other 3 libraries, you can use the facilities there. They've got a printer there, photocopiers, and I'll be sitting there to help you if you need. Whilst I'm talking about the libraries and learning IT skills, there is one other option available to you, and that option is that you can go to the Central Library. I won't be there on a Thursday morning, but the main librarians and the IT people, they will be there. You can either go and just use the equipment by yourself, which will be on the left-hand side, the adult library, or indeed you can go to the training area, which is on the right-hand side, and that is located in the children's section on a bit of a pedestal. So those are where the computers are, in the children's area, and there'll be a person there to help you. And in fact, there is a program called Learn My Way, and you can use that program to, at your own speed, learn different aspects of IT. And if you get stuck, then, as I say, there'll be somebody sitting there to help you, and that person will be familiar with the Learn My Way program. It's got different topics, it's got different things that you can, different learning topics. So some of it is very, very basic. This is how a computer works. Some of it is a bit more complicated. Some of it is, this is how You can use the internet. This is how you can use certain um, other applications. And as I say, those are all those services are free. Okay, so if you've got a library ticket, if you've got a Wolverhampton libraries ticket, which is free to get, and I think you only need to have a form of ID with your name and your address on it, and with that alone, that is enough to get you a ticket. You will be given a a little card with an 8-digit number on. In most cases, it's 00 and then 6 more numbers, and then you'll be given a password. And if you're worried, the password can be changed. It's a 4-digit password, 1234. Don't use that; that's too obvious. But use your own password, and you can use that identification card at any of the libraries. You can also use that identification card for any books or magazines that you might take out. And by logging in from your own equipment, from your own home, or in fact anywhere where you can get access to the internet, you can log into your account. You can renew books, or you can ask for books, or you can simply, as I say, go to the libraries where there'll be a machine that you can check books out. You can return books, and as I say, that is a service normally available to library users. And of course, if you want any help from the Secret Angels, we can show you how to use their equipment, or you can go straight up to a librarian and they will show you how to use the equipment. So I hope I've told you something useful there about our food bank service, which, as I say, is open on a Tuesday morning, and sometimes is providing other types of specialist food during the year, such as Easter eggs, such as meat, such as things at Christmas. And sometimes we get interesting items. I think at one stage we were given Wolverhampton Wanderers socks, okay, quite warm socks with the Wolverhampton Wanderers logo on it. And as I say, sometimes we get given flowers and baby items, and as I say, it's a friendly bunch of people that will provide you with free food, the kind of things that you can get from a food bank. I've also mentioned this afternoon, that we have a befriending service. So if you know somebody who's a bit lonely, somebody who needs help to talk to people, has a quiet voice, please point them to our befriending service running at the Bob Jones Community Hub in room 2 on a Friday between the time of 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And come along, have a nice warm cup of tea or coffee, have a chocolate biscuit, have a nibble on something else. And then I've also mentioned to you our IT skills plugged in service, which I've only got 8 seconds left. So if you stay on the line, in about 6 minutes, I will be telling you more about it. Okay. Welcome back, listeners, to Iman 1, the new name for Ramadan Radio Wolves. Okay, I hope you've been listening to my previous show um, about 6 minutes ago, where I, Rajiv Dhanjal, one of the volunteers for the Secret Angels charity, or CIC to be completely accurate, um, where I was telling our listeners about some of the things that we, the Secret Angels charity, um, uh, provide for the local community. And the last thing I was talking about was the IT um, plugged in IT Skills for Everyone program that I run. I run it in the libraries, or run it from the libraries, for those who didn't listen to the first part. If you come along to, on a Tuesday morning, Wensfield Library, on a Tuesday afternoon, Warstones Library, on a Wednesday morning, um, Bob Jones Community Hub, also known as the Blake and Hall Library, or Wednesday afternoon at the Whitmore Reens Library. Okay, there you'll find me with a computer screen as provided by the that local library. And if you need help with IT skills, if you want to ask me any specific questions, if you want me to explain how to do certain things, as you know, more and more is now available via the internet, and in some cases, unfortunately, is only available now via the internet. So it's becoming more and more necessary to have the skills to be able to do some things that used to be quite basic, done with forms and done with ink and done with letters. We have a new world now. So last year I delivered 4 shows, 1 hour each, talking all about IT skills. Those shows have been recorded and can be seen via YouTube or via Facebook. Type in Ramadan Radio Wolverhampton plugged in, and you should find me there with my blue shirt and my tie. And I'm not sure if they are numbered sequentially, but feel free. There might actually be either 4 shows, or there might even be 8 half-hour shows. Okay, 8 half-hour shows, all talking about IT things in a hopefully simple to understand way. If it did need to get complicated, I tried to make it as simple as possible. And as I say, shows that were recorded on the radio last year were before the live sessions at the library started. So I did suggest that those library sessions will be starting soon. And so now the situation we're in now is that rather than me explaining too many things across the board, I am now happy to take calls. If anybody wants to phone in to ask a specific question, you can call into our studio on 01 902 972 150. Okay, alternatively, you can send us a WhatsApp message 07440 420 432 for a WhatsApp message, and I'll try and answer the questions depending on what comes through. So what I'm going to be talking about mostly this year is the kind of problems that people have come in with since we started doing the libraries. And recently, literally only 2 weeks ago, a lady came in with a mobile phone with loads and loads and loads of pictures on it, and she was getting messages from from Apple to say, look, your iCloud is full. You need to buy some more storage. Your photos are only on your mobile phone. She asked me, is there a way to copy the photos off onto some sort of USB stick. So she'd heard of a USB stick, so she bought a little USB stick from the library, but it turned out that she had way more photos needing way more space than the small device she purchased. Okay, so I'm going to go back a few steps now and talk about data and the amount of data and ways of storing data. So people have probably told you before, oh, it's all ones and noughts, that's all it is. And that is very, very true. Ones and noughts. And we take 8 of these, what we call bits, binary digits. We get 8 together, and 8 binary digits, each of which is either a 1 or a naught, and that's called a byte. That's called a byte. And a byte is a number from 0 up to 255, and we use that to store the colour of a picture element, a spot, in other words. Pixel is called, pixel, picture element. Now, one little dot won't tell you much, but that number, that 0 to 255, 0 in fact is virtually black, and 0 and 255 is the appropriate colour for that dot. So the way it works with photographs is that we take 3 dots, a red one, a green one, and a blue one. And then we also have something called, oh God, I've forgotten its name now, the depth of the colour. So we need 4 numbers, and with 4 numbers we can represent a colour. So all the colours that you see on the photograph, they need 4 of these numbers, 4 of these bytes. Okay, now that gives you 1 dot. So to make a picture these days you need lots and lots and lots of dots. Dots in the millions, and therefore when we talk about storing pictures we need like space to put a million dots in, a million of these numbers. Now that takes a lot of storage, but the clever people, the mathematicians, they can compress some of these dots, some of these picture elements, so they can make the picture look still fairly reasonable and still fit in to a reasonable amount of space. Okay, so we need millions of dots. We need to store millions and millions of dots, and that's where the word megabyte comes in. So a million of these dots is a sorry, not a million of dots. We need 4 for each dot. So we need to store a million dots, a million numbers, to store half a quarter of a million picture elements. Okay. Now these days you'll have heard of cameras. You might be buying a new camera. Oh, how good is the camera on the mobile phone? Some of them have 50 million dots for a picture, and that might get compressed into maybe 5, depending on the complexity of the image. So let me give you some simpler numbers. If you have a million, right, a million, 1,000 million is called a gigabyte, and you might have heard of gigabytes. In the old days you could buy storage device which could store a gigabyte of data, a million. Okay, that is a gigabyte, so that's 1 with 9 zeros after it, and even that is not considered a lot by today's standards. So today we have 1,000 gigabytes. Right, I've been telling you the lies there. So 1,000 times 1,000 is a million megabyte. 1,000 megabytes is a gigabyte. That's a reasonable amount of storage for a small number of pictures. But these days we have 1,000 gigabytes, which is now called a terabyte. Terabyte, T-E-R-A, a terabyte. So that's actually a million dots worth of storage space. Now, okay, let's stop talking numbers, talk about practical things. How many pictures could I store on a terabyte? So I've had a look on the internet earlier, and apparently you can store around about 250,000 photographs, depending on how big they are, onto a 1 terabyte of storage. Okay, with say 128 gigabytes worth of storage, you might be able to store 2,000 or 3,000 high quality images. So to answer the question of what size of storage should I be buying to save my pictures off my mobile phone, so I can take some more pictures and have a backup just in case anything unfortunate might happen. For example, I might lose my phone, I might break my phone, I might have it stolen. Now, if it's an iPhone, if it's a Google phone, there's a certain amount of storage provided by these companies. The same as with certain other extra storage that you can buy. You may be able to recover some of the pictures because they've been copied and backed up. But in the case of this lady, she had even more than the free storage she was given. So had a disaster have happened with her phone, she could well have lost half of the images. Okay, could have lost half of the images. So I'm going to see her soon. I've asked her to buy a USB drive, sometimes known as a pen drive or a thumb drive. Why? It's about the size of a thumb. Some of them are even smaller. Some of them are very complicated these days because you can't even use them because they've got a lock on the front of them. Might be a several digit number for serious security. Some of them can withstand all sorts of being dropped or being dropped into water. So you can buy some very, very good devices, but for about £20, probably less than that, you can buy what we call 128 gigabytes of storage, and that, as I say, should be able to support the storage for around about 5,000 images. Of course, if you've got a very good camera, you might not be able to store that much, and if you start taking videos, you won't be able to get that many videos onto the storage space of these devices. Okay, so the most common way these days of backing up your important images, your important videos, is to use a thumb drive. However, before thumb drives became a lot more affordable, there is another kind of device you can buy, and again, these kind of devices are available from the likes of Currys and the likes of any other IT shop, the likes of Amazon, and there are specialist memory organizations. So you can now buy something called a hard drive. In fact, you've been able to buy a hard drive for quite a long time, and these hard drives, their capacity is measured in terabytes. Okay, what's a terabyte? It's 1,000 gigabytes. What's a gigabyte? It's 1,000 megabytes. So that's a terabyte is a million bytes of storage, and I would say that with a terabyte you can probably store about 250,000 photographs. And whilst I'm on this point, I always recommend don't keep your data in one place only. Try and have a second, or in my case, because I'm very, very careful, I have 3 places where I store things. I buy a nice fast USB drive, use that most of the time. You can plug that into a computer, you can plug it into your TV, and if you buy one of the ones with the appropriate connector for a mobile phone, then you can even plug these into mobile phones, and you can view the files that you've stored directly onto your mobile phone, or in fact anybody else's mobile phone that has the appropriate connector. Okay, now what's the difference between USB pen drives and hard disks? Well, the connection type is usually what we call the square sort of USB, which is oblong. There are three sorts. There's the really old sort, which is horribly slow. Then there's a USB type 2, which is a lot faster. And these days you get USB type 3, and they have a blue edge. Now what's the difference? Well, if you've got loads and loads of data on your phone and you want to take that data off, the blue sort, the USB type C, type 3 should I say, is the fastest available, and your device, depending on what its speed is, you can transfer information very, very quickly. And if you're doing this sort of thing all the time, then it's worth spending the extra money and getting a USB type 3. Okay, USB type 3. Now with the USB type 3s, they now have a slightly different connector end, and that connector end is a type C. It's called a USB type C, and it's finally the sort that it doesn't matter which way round you plug it in, it will always work. And that sort of storage device, as I say, is the fastest available. However, as I say, being such a small device, being a very, very simple device to carry around, if you do lose it, and it's a lot easier to lose, then you've got the same problem as losing your phone. So what I recommend is buy a USB type C, type 3, and buy a hard drive. Now the hard drives for a terabyte may only cost you about £60, and you may not want to buy a terabyte. You might want to buy 4 terabytes, which is a little bit more expensive, but buy 2 of those. Buy what you can afford, and keep one in your house, and give one to somebody you trust. Because again, if something happens to your house, you could lose that. So one of your relatives, put it into a biscuit tin, lock it, whatever's worrying you, protect it against those worries, and let a member of your family keep a spare copy of the data. Because the one thing about the IT industry is, if you break your computer, if you break your phone, if you break your printer, you can pop off to the shop and you can buy a new device. But that new device may not have access to all the information because you haven't made a copy of that information. And information is the most important thing typically with IT. So you must protect your information, and there are different ways of protecting your information. Now, before I talk too much about other historical devices for storage, I only have 5.5 minutes left of this show, so I'm going to say the same thing that I say to everybody in this day and age, because this is another common problem that I see, that I face in the libraries, in the programs that I deliver, and that is, oh, I don't know my password. Not acceptable. Not a problem to me, but a big problem to you. If you know people who have forgotten their password, haven't written it down, oh, my daughter set that up for me years ago, I don't know what it is. Sorry, but you could potentially lose all your data if you can't get into your systems. As I say, eventually your hardware will become too old, and you'll buy some new hardware. You'll need to log into your devices. So if you want to get into your devices, and as I mentioned earlier, depending on who you're with, they may well have a copy of some of your data if a disaster happens. But if you can't access it, then you've got a problem. And again, along those same lines, I'm now going to say to you, this is something that Excuse me. I've got a phone call coming through. A suspected scam, so we don't answer those phone calls. If you have or are setting up a new account, a relatively new account, you will be asked about something called multi-factor authentication. Okay, MFA, multi-factor authentication. And what that means is, in this day and age, it's really too easy for people to steal your identity, because in some instances all they're going to do is stand behind you. If you're in a public place and people are listening into a conversation you might be having on the phone, and you're not careful, and you whisper your password, or in fact you whisper your cat's name. And this is another issue that happened recently. A lady got hacked. I said, "Oh, you've got to be careful and don't ever give information away, like your cat's name, because they'll start writing these things down, and one day when they've got enough information, they will use it to say, 'Oh, I've lost my password. Can you let me in? Yeah, what's your cat's name?'" And in this particular case, this lady's password was her cat's name. How unlucky can you be? Well, maybe she didn't give her cat's name out. That was just my suggestion, that don't do something simple like that. That's far too simple. Okay, so multi-factor authentication. Okay, so how does that work? That means that if you've forgotten your email password and you ask for a reset, it might send a special number to your phone. But of course, if you've lost your phone and you don't know your email password, you need another way of proving who you are. And that third way might be a different phone number, or it might be an alternative email address that you know the password for. So you've got to be careful. I'm sorry to shout, but you've got to be careful, because there are so many scams out there now that the more information you put into a mobile device, into an online device, the more you have to lose. And unfortunately, the world as it is today is forcing us in this direction. Okay, forcing us in this direction. So a better way of using multi-factor authentication is a fingerprint. Excuse me. A fingerprint, because you're unlikely to have your finger chopped off or lose it somewhere. It's very, very unlikely to happen. So where you've got an opportunity for biometrics, in the case of fingerprints, they are a good idea. In the case of face recognition, I'm not sure if I fully trust that yet, but that is a possibility. Facial recognition has got a lot better these days, because in the early days you could just put a photograph in front of your camera, and if that photograph was recognised, brilliant. But now it's got a lot more sophisticated. Now your camera will ask you to turn your face from side to side. It'll take a 3D image of your face. It'll throw different colours at you to make sure that, again, it's not just some sort of dummy. So yeah, I want to carry on with all these things. Please come into my show on Thursday, 4 o'clock, and we'll talk some more.